so much once more for joining us. My name is Alabi, and my colleague has been holding forth this morning, Mojisola Sholaja. We are looking at an issue that has become a very big one in Nigeria. Almost every year we have it, and that is the perennial federal government ASUU face-off. Our students, our children are home now because of ASUU strike, and we want to look at it holistically this morning, and that's why we've gone deep to bring to you two people that, of course, should know what it feels in terms of why we are where we are at this moment. We are with us this morning, Associate Professor Rufai is the chairman of ASUU at Tai Solarin University of Education here in Ogun State, Ogun State. Good morning, Prof. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for joining us.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. We also have with us the public affairs analyst, the popular one for that matter, whose intellect we've actually gotten a lot from on this program, on other programs on OGTV. Ustaz Jibril Lawal. Ustaz, good morning.
Good morning, Yodo.
Ustaz Jibril Lawal, FICMA, MC. What does that mean?
FICMC. I'm a fellow of the Institute of Charter Mediator and Conciliator.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Prof is associate professor. What's the difference between associate professor and prof?
As far as academics is concerned, the peak is the professorial share. When you become a full professor, then that is the peak. Associate prof still has a step to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a step to go.
A step to
Lieutenant Prof.
Moji is also here, and all of us are affected by this issue. But let's start from the ASUU man in the house.
Okay.
Number one, we'd like to ask, over the years, there have been this face-off, and it looks like it's never going to end between federal government and ASUU. What has been, from a general perspective, what has been the issues, the recurring issues between government and ASUU over the years?
Yeah, thank you, and good morning, Nigerians. The recurring issue being discussed here actually should not be an issue at all. Everything has to do with the interests of our governments, the leadership, how interested they are as to how our education system should be in this country. So as far as this lingering ASUU strike is concerned, I think it's something that can be resolved in a matter of hours if actually our government is committed, is desirous of having a viable, a good education system for our citizenry. That's just the basic.
Has that been the problem? I'd like to redirect the question.
Yeah.
Because when I was also in school, growing up, I also experienced ASUU federal government face-off crisis. Now, that was between 1997 and 2022. That's a whole lot. Yet, federal government and ASUU are still fighting, always fighting. Why?
Yeah, thank you once again. As I said earlier on, everything has to do with interest. Now, the fact remains that the present crisis we are in presently has to do with the fact that government is not ready to keep a gentleman agreement reached with ASUU. There was an agreement signed by both parties, and this was since 2009. And actually, how many years ago? About 13 years ago, we are still discussing the same thing. And if government has shown sincerity, honesty, because when we talk of keeping agreement, it's a gentleman thing. Now, this is the way all of us, we have agreed that this is how we want this thing to be. There shouldn't be any reason, even if there's going to be any change in that thing, the parties will have to sit again and redirect. But here, our government is not showing that.
What is the agreement? Before we leave you and go to Ustaz, tell us the agreement.
Okay. In 2009, there was this meeting between Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, and our federal government. Some committees were put up to go around our universities and assess the level of decadence, things that must be done to revamp our university system. So they went around and came back with a report. And after submitting the report, the government party and that of ASUU went into an agreement. They signed an agreement, a memorandum of understanding, that every year, for example now, that there's a particular fund that is called Revitalization Fund. That Revitalization Fund is to be injected into our university system for it to be brought back to life. We have laboratories without chemicals, we have libraries without books, and what have you. So when this committee, when the report of the committee was submitted, an agreement was reached that perhaps every year 220 billion will be injected as revitalization fund to help our public universities. But I think after the payment was done once, this money should be up to 1.3 trillion at the end of it all. But after government paid just once or twice, they stopped the payment, and you need to go around our universities and see how bad things are actually. Something urgent must be done to help our university system if actually we have to be competitive.
But Professor Rufai, let me quickly ask you this. You talked about commitments earlier on.
Yeah.
And I want to ask, how committed is ASUU to education in Nigeria?
Oh, that's a beautiful one. Now, perhaps I should quickly take us back to memory lane. During this agreement, when the agreement, government had a plan of ensuring that the children of the poor don't attend university system. There was a time the education loan was to be introduced. What's the meaning of education loan? That as an undergraduate, you access that loan, and when you are through with your program, you now start repaying back the loan so taken. And the implication of that is that now school fees will be taken up to as high as maybe 1.5 as it is done in private schools. And how many parents will be able to afford that? So what we are trying to say here is that actually ASUU has been in the forefront to ensure that our children, the children of the poor, are not left out, because we have private schools that charge as high as 1.5, 2 million per session. But how many parents will be able to charge as high as 100,000 naira a session? So when we talk of commitment, I think ASUU should be given the accolades, should be praised for helping the education system, because all along it has been that this system must not be allowed to die. Inject fund, make things work. Let the library have books, let the laboratories have chemicals and apparatus to work with. That has been the slogan all along. So when we talk about commitment, I think if there's any other way to salute the members of ASUU in this country, I think it will be better.
But you recall this is about the 15th strike since 1999, and it means, if we calculate it, it means ASUU has been on strike for about 4 years. And you're still talking about commitments. Don't you think you're actually, if you consider the children now, the students, will you still say ASUU is committed? And if you look at the fact that the brain drain, that we've always been talking about, will you still say ASUU is committed?
Sincerely, anytime, any day.
That our government has not really done much to develop our system educationally. Nobody's going to doubt that. He has equally went on to say that he feels that whatever it is that we're bringing our government, we ask him to do, is not too much. And he used that word, and I want to use that word, revitalization fund. In other words, government is excited to bring some fund into the university system to revitalize what is going on there. And when I talk about revitalization, we're talking about maybe infrastructure, things that we might not be able to see, but that's going to help education, develop. Because he said, at the end of the day, what is the benefit of their work if those that they are churning out as graduates eventually are not qualified to be graduates, they are not employable? Those are the premises upon which he has placed, the argument of ASUU. And I'm going to tell you that quite a number of Nigerians share that, sentiment in what comes as now. But we need to move out from there. Like that presenter said, she said, ASUU have gone on strike for about 15 times. And I want to tell you, it's about 28 times now. 15 times about maybe 2021 or thereabout. After 2021, there have been so many. And they've gone on strike for about 54 months now. 12 months translates into 4 years. In other words, when you look at from 1999 to date, for every 4 year like a leap year, the other year, a whole year is left untouched by ASUU. ASUU will not work for a whole year. 4 years of work, 1 year of freedom. Sabbatically, whatever. That's the challenge. And ASUU has used one weapon, to keep on fighting this problem, which you all acknowledge is a problem, and which is strike. Now, my question is, if you use a weapon to fight a battle, and you're not getting any result for over 2 decades, 2 decades and 3 years, 23 years, 1999 to date, let's leave Buhari, let's leave Babangida regime, etc. Because ASUU too had issue with them. Let's start from the democratic dispensation, 1999 to date, 23 years. ASUU has gone on strike for over 4 years. And they've not achieved what they want to achieve. Every government comes up, and I've not been able to do anything with this agreement. I ask a question, what exactly is that agreement? That no government in Nigeria has been able to meet that agreement. The only government that has tried to do that has been Buhari, and that was because the Speaker of the House of Rep insisted last year that no, let's put something about this, and since then nothing has happened. So what exactly is in? Because it's a cross of the matter. What is in that agreement that government has not been able to meet? We need to look at it. Then number 2, is it not time for ASUU to change that strategy? I'll tell you why. When you as a doctor, as a physician, is prescribing, a medication to solve an ailment, and the side effect of that drug is eventually affecting the patient more than the ailment, is it not time for the physician to bring about a change in that medication? So I am thinking ASUU should sit down and have a rethink for us to go into that agreement and revisit it. What exactly is in this agreement that no government has succeeded in meeting? Is it not high time we declare what I want to call a force majeure for us to revisit? So these are my opening remark on this. And I'm saying because the Nigerian students and even ASUU themselves are already becoming the victim of this incessant strike. How do I mean? Take it now. ASUU in the eyes of the world is a warring union. Because 9 months, 1 year, nothing is happening. We ask the question, when they sit down to do the research, when they sit down to do the work they need to do, if they are not teaching for onward of 1 year, 6 months, 5 months, and nothing is happening, it's affecting their status as individuals, as academics all over the world, and it's equally impacting Nigeria negatively. Because quite a number of the things that we need to do, the other nations are getting the benefit from their academics. We are not getting it. Instead, it is our technicians on the road, the welders on the road that are doing some of this in fabricating that we're using. We're not seeing that big impact from us. That is one. Even our students, when they're out of school, a lot of things happen. It impacts parents, it impacts the students. Parents need to pay, and the budget that, calendar year, an academic year is not the calendar year, the budgeted, academic year of four academic year program should be about 3 calendar years, and eventually it takes 5, 6 calendar years. So it's affecting everybody. Now I'm saying that, the side effect of what we are talking about is great and huge on Nigeria. So the question is, what is in that agreement that government has not been able to meet? Effort of government in the past to bring in Mabalaki, etc., for them to sit down and negotiate. What has become of it? Then other things that ASUU has brought in, like UTAS, IPPIS, etc., all those ones, can we separate this? Can ASUU, for God's sake, for once, let us go back and visit? And I'll make suggestions. You see, like I said, I'm a mediator, and getting solutions is what I'm trained to do. Okay. Number 1, can ASUU bring about other stakeholders like the students and the parents into this in their negotiation? Government have said, let's negotiate. ASUU said, no, we're not negotiating. There's no way forward. We need to negotiate. We need to sit down and review some of these things. Can we bring students in? They are part of it. Can we bring parents in? Can it be a tripartite thing between them, the students themselves? Because at the end of the day, they collect their money. ASUU will be paid. For all the time they've been on strike, they've been paid. The students are the ones that are going to lose eventually. So can we bring the parents into it? Can we bring the students into it? Can we make it, a group war and not just their war alone?
What value will the parents and the students add to the negotiation?
The person for whom the cock is slaughtered, should be allowed to eat the gizzard. That is what Yoruba says. ASUU said they are fighting for bringing to Nigerians. It's not for their pocket, because there is nowhere they said government have not paid them. They get their salary regularly. It's just that put more money into university for quality education. So if the students are those for whom they are fighting, and the parents are those that are benefiting, they are equally losing, can they come in? All of them agree on the way forward on this. It's not just ASUU alone, but all of them, okay, we agree. Can we come in this way? Can we bring this? Can we bring that? The three of them agree, then they put it for their government, they have an agreement. I have other solutions, but let me stop at that. First one.
I think for PTA and I think NANS, I think they've also been involved in recent days. We've seen them come out probably in terms of protest and all of that. Maybe that is an informal involvement. Probably you're talking about formal involvement.
Formal,
organized.
The three of them will sit down. They will have a position paper, a memorandum, three of them with the government. This is what we sat down to discuss. This is our agreement. Place it before government. I think if that comes in, because my reason for this is, if you bring in the parent and the student, they might have a way to talk to us that, look, let's talk about that, this is affecting us. Education is so bad. You went through it, you graduated, you are now working, you are getting something for your family. It's so bad, you went through the same system, you graduated, and he's feeding his family. But our kids are there, they said it's bad, and my daughter has been in school for 7 years, for a 5-year course, and that is not, she's still there, nothing is happening, and she's getting older. And we have done like that all over. What I'm saying is, as bad as it was, it produced you. So let us, for God's sake, not use the children as cannon fodder, to fight government. That's what I'm saying. So we need to find a way to sit down, knocking in, working out, compromise here and there for us to have a new future. That is what I'm saying now. I have other suggestions, but let's start from there.
Professor Rufai, Ustaz is actually saying that maybe ASUU needs to think out of the box because over the years it's been the same strategy, and the same weapon, which is strike. Is ASUU also looking, because you are representing ASUU as chairman of ASUU at TASWED, you are a reflection of ASUU at the national level. But we'll come back to you after this short break. Stay with us, New Dawn on People's Television, OGTV 25. The People's Tele, OGTV 25HF. We're looking at the perennial FG ASUU face-off, and we have in the studio Associate Professor Kazim Rufai. Is the chairman of TASWED ASUU here in Ogun State, and Ustaz Jibril Lawal, FICMC, is a public affairs analyst. He's also with us on this program this morning. Before we took that break, Prof, we were talking about all of the suggestions that Ustaz raised, and that is for ASUU to really become ingenious, change strategy, change weapon, and maybe also involve other stakeholders in this affair, parents and the students. Is ASUU opposed to all this, or is ASUU open to suggestions like this?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator. I should start this way, that ASUU is a union of intellectuals. And when we talk of intellectuals, we mean that we have to reason things out before actions are taken. In the first instance, when we talk of going on strike, actually, it pains that we repeat the same thing barely every time. At the last NEC at Abuja, where we declared the strike, that was on February 14. I was there, and we had to go through a meeting through the night, and we were discussing what else have we left untouched, have we left undone. Because at the time, we had to lobby. We were at the Senate, House of Rep. We did everything humanly possible. And before we got to that stage, we had written severally to government, telling them that these are the things we agreed on, and the earlier all these things, all these agreements are respected, the better. At another time, we involved the NIREC, Nigeria Interreligious Council. The MR was involved, the CAN president was also involved, talking to the government to respect an agreement they willingly, not under duress. I read some times ago when government was saying that it was under duress. Maybe ASUU was pointing gun at them before they signed. That coming from our government. So what we're only trying to say is that as a union of intellectuals, if the public will assist us, if after doing all these things we have done, writing to the government, calling them for meeting, involving interreligious council, lobbying people at the House of Assembly, what else should we do? That's why I said we are open to suggestions. If there are other things we think we should do and we have not done, ASUU will be willing to look into that.
Let's get to the brass. Let's look at some other issues. The crux of your agitation is for our universities to produce employable graduates. Yeah. It is not for your salaries or your allowances to be increased.
Let me say frankly here that actually this agitation is based on three key things.
Okay.
We have provision of revitalization fund.
Okay.
University autonomy. And condition of service to be reviewed.
Condition. What is wrong with your being autonomy? What are the issues and the condition of service?
Okay, let me quickly say something on autonomy. Now, my brother here said something about introduction of IPPIS and UTAS of late. Actually, when this agreement thing was signed, government did not introduce IPPIS, integrated personnel and what have you. I've forgotten the full payroll information system, IPPIS. That thing was introduced lately. And when we talk of university autonomy, we are saying that the way a university operates is quite different from other parastatals, other organizations. Because, for instance, now, as an academic, I have the opportunity of visiting another university to teach. When I go on sabbatical, I mean that when I'm in TASWED, I teach here. During that year of sabbatical, I have the opportunity of earning here and as well as earning in FUNAB if I'm on sabbatical here. So all these things is statutory. That is the way things are done worldwide.
Worldwide.
So in that wise, this IPPIS will not capture it. As I teach in Taswell now, and I decide to go to FUNAP to teach, eventually the system will see that Rufai is earning, having 2 salaries from two sources.
The federal government does not want that.
That is not captured in the IPPIS of the thing. So that's what we are saying. That all these things, so eventually government introduced that to undermine the provision of autonomy you are talking of. Universities should be allowed, and as part of the autonomy thing, we want to see how our vice chancellors are brought up, are chosen. It shouldn't be the concern of the government to see that Professor X should head social institution. So all these things are what are involved in autonomy.
Under your agitation to be autonomous. Now, can you? Is that also applicable, you know, for or with state universities, state institutions? If you're talking about appointment of vice chancellors, that is it.
We have some institutions where the visitor, the governor will just announce someday that somebody, the vice chancellor of University X has been sacked, and that is it, because they think they have that power.
Or has been appointed.
Or has been appointed.
Does the governor not have the power?
No, that is not. It's not part of what is contained in the provision.
Okay.
We are saying that with autonomy there are procedures. If a PC is to be appointed, there are procedures. You know, selection committee and some other things
within the university.
Yeah,
within
they have to be done. Yeah.
Is that the same way it happens at the federal institutions?
Everywhere. That is the procedure, be it at state level or at the university.
So the president appoints VC.
At times, it shouldn't be the concern of the governor to. It should be the concern of the university.
Okay.
To know who is.
That's a violation of your autonomy.
Autonomy, right?
Let's look at condition of service. We start to react to all of this. Condition of service.
Now, the condition of service is, if I should tell you that a professor in the present day Nigeria doesn't earn up to 400,000, you will be shocked. And when a professor before you become a professor, as an associate professor, I've been in teaching for almost 2 decades now, and you know what it means. When a professor, somebody who is my senior, will not earn up to 400,000 naira a month, and somebody that I thought a first degree holder is now appointed somewhere and he earns almost $1 million naira a month. You know, it diminishes that position of professorship. So what we are trying to say is that as part of the condition of service, we are saying the same salary we've been earning since 2009, 13 years ago. A bag of cement is almost 4,000 naira. 2009, I think a bag of cement was maybe 700 naira or 600 naira, and I'm still being paid the same salary. I want me to do my best. It's not done. Government should consider us.
Okay,
sincerely.
Prof. Okay, let's. Ustaz, Moji, you want to?
We should just talk more about the UTAS.
Okay.
Because the federal government said at first,
okay,
the federal government said it's okay.
Okay.
Then later on, the federal government said it failed integrity test.
Okay.
What happened?
Okay, thank you. Now, actually, I said, when I was to start, I said our government is not sincere. Sincerely, our government is not sincere. As per the IPPIS, when the issue of IPPIS was brought up, and ASUU kicked, the government said, okay, if you have an alternative, bring it to the table so that we see. And ASUU was given that mandate to go and produce a similitude, something that would be better off than IPPIS. Within some few months, ASUU went, because I said it's the union of intellectuals, we went into work and we were able to produce UTAS, University Transparency and Accountability Solution. We came up with that package. And perhaps I should tell the public some of the things that are known to us. At the time, Dr. Patami, the Minister of Communication and what have you, was given professorship at a university without following the due process. And NITDA is under that ministry. So initially, when there was no problem with Patami, actually, UTAS was given pass mark. Along the line, because of that relationship that is not so rosy again. Now government now comes around and say, UTAS is not good enough. It has failed the integrity set. all these things are documented. They are documented where government says, here you have 70%, in this test you have 80%. They are documented facts that can be produced anytime, any day. So what we're trying to say is that everything boils down to the fact that our government is not ready to provide solutions to this problem at hand. And the earlier solutions are provided, the better for all of us.
We're trying as much as possible not to reduce this to debate. But again, as a parent and as a mediator, what do you think? Do you think all these, because he said all of these things are, Prof said all of these things are according to global standards, the autonomy. They want autonomy, they want to be autonomous, they want to be involved in the choice of vice chancellors for universities, condition of service to those two areas. Are they justifiable for you?
No, thank you so much. I'll start with a question. As a professor, is ASUU really ready for us to have a way forward, a new future in this crisis?
If ASUU is not ready for peace, it will have involved the NIREC people, the MR and the CAN president.
I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
Why I ask the question is that for us to, when two parties, are having issues, what we advise at our level as professional mediator is compromises here and there. The two parties can say, no, we are not compromising. All the issues that you have listed, out, I am thinking there are issues that we can compromise on for us to have a breakthrough. And I'll take it number one. Revitalization, autonomy, and
condition of service.
All these three, when you look at it in Nigeria, there is no sector of Nigeria that does not have an issue of condition of service. They want to be reviewed, etc. Cement going up is across the board to everybody. Economically, we can't look at, in economy, you can't say somebody that's working in NPC is earning 1 million. So either I'm working here to ministry should end this. No, things are not done economically. But that's not to say a professor does not worth his money. I'm coming to that. Number two, the issue of autonomy. I am thinking that ASUU is not facing what they need to face when it comes to autonomy. And that takes me to my second suggestion.
Okay.
I have said, when you talk of NIREC and other people, they are bystanders. Yes, they are stakeholders, they are dignitaries, they are elders in society, but they are not directly impacted. Like a student is impacted, like a parent who has a child in university is impacted. You understand? When you bring issues on the table, the way the two of them will look at it with you is not the same way the NIREC person will look at you. And that's why I'm saying that bring about a tripartite. Come together, a collegiate, if you can use that word. You, the students, and the parent. Come together, place these your views with them. Let all of you decide on how you want to approach it with the government for way forward, because they equally are really, really impacted. In fact, the way things are, they are more impacted than you, because when you go on strike and come back, you still get your salary. They have lost. So the parent that is going to pay for a school fee and accommodation for the parent, for the student, the landlord will not say, no, I'm going to give you this discount. No. So they're actually very impacted. So bring them into this. Since you are fighting this cause because of them, bring them into this. Let them have a say too in the way you move ahead with the government on this. That's my first suggestion.
Okay.
Number one, on autonomy, I'm going to say this. What I think you'll be looking at, presently, there are three factors that we have looked at that makes the university to go on. Number one, the salary of the lecturers, the infrastructure that are there, and other, basic things that we cannot see, like the money being paid to lecturers for their seminars, their research, etc. Those are the three basic costs that we can see within the university system. Now, government is taking care of the salary of both the non-teaching staff and teaching staff. At least at the federal level, we know that they are doing that. Also, through PTA, whatever, you've been able to bring about a fund, TED fund, and you have government has already taken care of a lot of buildings within the institution. We have succeeded in that. The third one now is the money that you need to be paid, for researches, etc., that is not going on well. To me, that is one of the things that 200 billion or 220 billion per annum is meant for. Can we look at it from that angle? Seek for better autonomy. How? Presently, I have a daughter in the University of Ilorin. she's going to final year, she's going to pay 40,000 naira as school fee. In other words, even presently, school fee is not free. I mean, school is not free even for federal university students. It's just that the money is not that much. The money is low compared to my daughter in OOU that is paying like 120, 150,000 in final year. You can compare the two. So what I'm trying to say in essence is, if that is the case, and students are still paying money into the system. I was discussing with somebody from university and said their enrollment is 10,000 naira. I'm 10,000 students. I look at if students pay 40,000 times 10,000. How much does that account to? Where does that money goes to? What I'm thinking we could come into. Look, listen, we need to look at it. Is can government come out? Can we tell government, okay, don't take all the money. Can you give us a percentage? Instead of us waiting for 200 billion every year, can we have a system where some percentage of money that is being paid by students does not go straight to the coffers of the government? Certain percentage come back to us. We use it to run our university, in particular, for researches, etc. Can we bring about subsidy to the table? So it saves government from this 200 billion. It appears government cannot pay this 200 billion per annum. No government has done it apart from Buhari. I mean, this present regime that have done it. No other government have done it.
No,
then we looked into it.
That is not correct.
Okay, I don't know. Okay, by no PMB system, government paid something, 200 million. I don't know of any other one that have paid, apart from Buhari. You can correct me on that and give us information. I'm ready to learn. Well, I'm saying that if that is the case, can we have that? We split that money. Okay, certain percent, whatever students are paying goes into government's cover. The other comes to our cover. We can use this, to do our researches, etc. Why government continue to, build infrastructure through TED fund, and they continue paying our salary? I think we can start looking at this. That is the negotiation that we are talking about that can come up, which I'm thinking. When student comes into this, all of them agree. Number three, the issue of, okay, Babalaki said, can we bring students loan? ASUU said, no, we don't want education to be commercialized. We have gotten to a level where we should know that government alone cannot fund university education in Nigeria. We have gotten to that level. Can we look inward and see how to review some of these our stand? And that's why I say, can we compromise? Can ASUU come in and compromise, with government? Finally, on the issue that they brought up, which is the issue of government interfering in appointment of VCs, etc., it's a political thing. I think ASUU shouldn't make that much of their problem. I am not saying they could not have view, they could not submit. No, but what I'm saying is a political issue that they should know that government in one way or the other, have input or say on, they should have. So if you want to fight government really on that, then don't use the student as a cannon fodder for that. On the UTAS and IPPIS, I have a little knowledge of, IT, and I know that there is no software designed to pay staff that is rigid, that is not flexible. There is no. Government as the employer should determine what they want to use to pay their employee. If ASUU comes and says, no, we want UTAS, then SANU comes and says, no, we don't want IPPIS, we have a challenge too, we want this. Then public servants too, in the federal ministry says, no, we don't want this. Government, there will be problem. Governance is not done like that. What I think ASUU might do is, look, these are the challenges we have. Can we have a new way into it for IPPIS to accommodate these? When we bring this down, this is what you call compromise. Then we have a way forward in solving the problem. But for ASUU to say we are not open to negotiation like we have read in the newspapers is not possible.
Okay.
Let's go back and sit down and renegotiate some of these things for us to have a way forward and do some submissions.
Okay, Prof, let's quickly clear something before we go to your reaction to all of that.
Okay.
The Revitalization Fund. And TED fund, isn't that a duplication? Are they different?
Now, the issue of TED fund was brought up with the assistance of ASUU. It was ASUU that even sold that idea to management, to our government sometimes, that this is the way to help our university system. Charge all these organizations, industries, tax and what have you, and at the end of the day, this money should be kept somewhere and give it TED fund. So nowadays, that TED fund is not even open only to university system. We have polytechnics, colleges of education accessing this fund.
Okay.
So There's no duplication anywhere.
Okay, the other one is clearly different from third fund.
No,
Revitalization.
Yeah. This was brought in 2009 when Goodluck Jonathan was our president, and he did initial payments. I think he paid 220 billion before he left office. So the idea that maybe Buhari is the only person who has done that is far from true anyway. But that is not a discussion for today. It's a discussion for some other time. Now, one thing we have to realize is the issue of autonomy. The method of payment, as I said earlier on, the introduction of IPPIS was brought in to undermine the autonomy we are talking of. We are saying that we have professors, we have academics who have not been paid for months, for crying out loud. We are parents, we have bills to pay, and yet our government
they've not been paid or they are not paid what you think. Is it the allowances or the salary?
We have individual lecturers, because of the introduction of IPPIS, maybe if he's to earn maybe 100,000 naira a month, he's now paid 10,000 naira. He has not been paid. That's it. So we are saying, as far as unionism is concerned, an injury to one is an injury to all. So what we are saying is that if you have instances, sir, you said you have some few knowledge of software development. As a professor of computer science, I'm telling you that actually these things can be modified. But the fact is that since we have been coming up with this argument that this thing is not working fine the way it should work, some other things should be introduced. What government said was that go and bring up your own software package that will be able to solve this problem. That was when the UTAS thing was introduced. And now it has gone through some tests and it has been said that this package is okay. Not until recently when UTAS says it's not going to meet up with the specification. But that is not what we are saying here. The fact is that all these three things are just the key elements in the agreement. And you made mention of Babalakin. Sincerely, Dr. Wale Babalakin did not help in this situation. He was given that assignment as the chairman of a committee, and for years before he was thrown off from that board, from that committee, and somebody else was brought in. Another person that was brought in did the assignment within some few months, and that assignment was completed in May 2001. Don't forget, we shouldn't have gone on the 2020 strike if things had been attended to appropriately. But our government will still not show sincerity. After that agreement was brought up again, the renegotiated 2009 agreement in May last year, we've been talking to government. Let's see how these things are signed, and implementation should take place immediately. The government will continue to drag, and at the end of the day, we are forced to get ourselves here. So what we are trying to say now is that, okay, please say something.
Prof, I want you to really clarify. There was one that actually mentioned the right time. You said a prof that used to be paid 400,000, for instance, is not being paid, or is being paid 10,000 naira. Why is that happening?
It's because the package is not doing the assignments. We should ask questions from the developers of IPPIS. Why it's not doing? Like the example I gave the other time, that if I'm on sabbatical, as I work in Taswed now, I'm now on sabbatical in OOU. The system will see me as being, so that when government comes out that they have been able to fit out ghost worker, you wonder that I'm actually a ghost worker. I'm doing my statutory assignment as a lecturer in university, and I'm on sabbatical in University B, and I'm entitled to these two salaries.
Can I come in?
Yeah.
That's a technical thing. I think when I was in service too, I was in charge of our payroll. When we have such challenges, what we need to do is just a new nomenclature. Instead of making it to look externally, can we call it sabbatical allowance? And we allow the IPPIS, flexible enough to accept that, so that when that lecturer is not in that university any longer and he goes there, everything that is going to be total emolument that is coming from OOU for a lecturer that is in TASUD, who is collecting the fund salary in TASUD, we just call sabbatical allowance. Everything comes like that, and the paper that goes in there comes and takes that sabbatical allowance. All I'm saying is that all these are technical things for which we should not hold our students.
I've only given an instance. I'm not saying that's the only problem with IPPIS. I've only given an instance, an example of the errors.
Okay.
And we realize that even IPPIS is supporting corruption in a way. Because we even find out some people who should be paid 10 naira is also being paid 20 naira. because this package is not.
Who discovered that?
ASUU discovered that,
ASUU.
and we wrote government that
this irregular payment, is it across the board? Is it both at federal universities and state universities?
IPPIS has not been introduced at state level.
Okay.
It's only for federal schools.
Federal
universities.
Federal universities.
Yeah, it has not been introduced at state level.
Why?
I wouldn't know. Maybe because of the challenge we are having at the federal schools. Maybe now government is having a second look at the whole thing, that if we are having these challenges at the federal schools, and if usually they are introduced at state level, maybe we have. So maybe that's the question for government to answer.
The two categories of universities fight the same cause. The state government and the federal government fight the same cause, yet the same cause not coming with the same benefits.
No, the point is that we have just one ASUU in this country, and we have branches. As I said earlier on, I am a chairman of a branch, and we are saying that an injury to one, as far as unionism is concerned, is injury to all. So we only have one ASUU. Government, one of the antics and the tactics of government that they want to employ now is that they want to look for a way of separating. That, oh, you are federal ASUU, you are state. No, we only have one ASUU, and we have branches.
Stars, I'll move away from UTAS and allowances.
Yeah.
And as you said, we all know, yes, we all know that government cannot do it all alone. But unfortunately, the government keeps giving approval for more universities when even the ones on the ground are facing challenges.
Thank you.
They are finding it difficult to run smoothly. So what's your take on that?
You see, there are a lot of political issues involved in all this. And I have said I don't see anything wrong in more universities being approved. And I'll tell you why. When you look on the bone of contention, or the bone of contention of ASUU, it is that university system now accommodates so many students, more than the capacity of the universities. That have been a lot of their complaints. Like I told you, I was having school with the lecturer sometimes go,
without corresponding
and he said, and yes, without corresponding infrastructure.
Yeah.
And that's the argument, that they have too much, they need more lecturers, etc. And I'm asking the question: is a Nigerian child not entitled to be educated? A Nigerian child is entitled to be educated. So the government said they want to bring about universities because they want more people into our universities. To me, it's not an issue. I think the issue here is because of the fund that is going into that is the issue, which is a political issue. And it still boils down to the fact that Nigerian system, I might need to bring in structure here. We need to do some restructuring. Recently, I was listening to news and JAMB said 1 million admission, or 1 million candidates had illegal admission, whatever. I don't know how they phrase it. And I asked the question, why? Is it because they're not qualified to be in university? Is it because they don't have prerequisite, qualification to be in university? Or because they did not pass through JAMB? And I asked the question, how can JAMB be the only institution in Nigeria that will admit everybody in private university, federal university, state university? Why? I'm asking, why must it be? These are some of the issues that we need to look into. These are some of the issues I'm thinking that maybe ASUU, NANS, parents should need to come up with, and that should come to on the front burner of their discussion. Like I said, these ambiguous issues, it's not just what they feel is wrong, politically, with what government is doing with them, or their allowances, etc. Because at the end of the day, I want to ask a question. Given all this now, what happens? Which way forward? I am thinking that for ASUU to decide the strike, they need to bring in the students. Students, these are the challenges that we are having. We have this problem, and you two also saw it. We are declining strike. What's your take? And asking that what is their take, because they are affected. For God's sake, they are the cannon fodder you are using. They are the receiving end of it. So their take is important. The parent take too is equally important in this. And I want to ask a question. You are employed as an individual, not as ASUU. If anybody is not interested in whatever government is giving us employment, for God's sake, put in your papers and tired of it.
Now, I think I want to say something.
I'm
taking enough for now. One thing I want you to understand here.
The payments you have to take. It's not just us saying we are going on strike because of this, we are going on strike. They too are members of this nation, and they deserve to be taught.
Okay, now let's pick it from one of the things that I will start said, have you been looking at the position of NANS too on all of these?
Now, one argument he has put forward has to do with the fact that if ASUU has to go on strike, the students will have to be consulted first.
Okay.
Now, it's like saying that medical doctors want to go on strike, and because the patients are involved, they should go to the sick bed and ask them, should we go on strike? Or now,
I don't know, they're not that
hello.
The students are paid to be taught.
So a patient in the hospital are not paid.
No, they are not paid. A student holding admission, he has paid to be taught. It is right to be taught. He can't go on strike.
Let him land. Let him land. Let him land.
Who has been, admitted into hospital must have paid before being given a bed. But that is not.
But we have Sikiru Olamide from Port Harcourt. Good morning, Sikiru.
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Good morning. Let's hear from you. We're talking about the strike, ASUU and federal government.
Okay. No, me, my own opinion that I just want to put my mouth here. Because, most of time in our country, Nigeria, most time people only talk about school, talking about university and some other jargon. Why sometimes people say supposed to talk about family? Already, school is good. When you go to university, you finish your secondary school, you go to university, you're very good at here. But based on my opinion, they're supposed to talk about it. Yeah, sometimes, like when you travel out to some other country, they are telling you only put school for them. When it comes to from other countries, that people are only supposed to do something that we now in Nigeria, like you are going to practical and like practical. That when you finish your secondary school, you know you go and learn work, you go to the trade, to like production, something like maybe if you are a mechanical or you are electrical or you are a person that you are going to produce something.
Okay, Mr. Sikiru, thank you. Sikiru Olamide, thank you. I think I got the point. I think we'll come back to the point he's trying to make. I think it has to do with the fact that we are not a country that is, we are not pro-technology. All we think about is university education for everybody. Now, Prof, the NANS, isn't that shouldn't that be a new thinking for ASUU? That you need to involve NANS, because they're also a stakeholder.
Yeah, that is true. NANS is a student organization, and we all can recall what they did with the Minister of Education some weeks ago. I mean, Honorable Adamu. And at the end of the day, of late, we had, I think, Southwest coordinator accusing the national president Sunday as a fund that he has taken money from federal government, and is expected anyway. But that's not a discussion for now. But what I'm trying to say here is that maybe government creating. We heard of recent again that a state governor, opened 2 or 3 universities within a day, and the existing ones are not being taken care of. All this population of students we are talking of, it can be handled with our existing universities. What the government that's the situation of ASUU.
Prof, just a minute. Ayola from Ogun State here. Hello, Ayola.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Please, I want to lend my voice to the ongoing debate concerning ASUU and the federal government resource.
Yes.
I think the ASUU as a union, they have right to good working conditions. But at the same time, I think they are doing it, they are overdoing it. There are a lot of advantages as an academic, which is not peculiar to other professions. For instance, they are talking about IPPIS, that they didn't capture them when they go on sabbatical. Apart from going sabbatical, do you know that most of academics, the lecturers, they are teaching in theory of all universities and they are collecting money. This is not applicable to other professions. Apart from that, most of the time they only flog the challenges. They did not underscore the advantages of being in academics. They used to make reference to a professor that is not handing up to 400,000. While a school staff holder with a political appointee Honestly, if they believe that that is what they want, they should resign and go and contest for this political office and have the same money. And again, in the appointment, there's a contract, offer and acceptance. If you work as a lecturer and you believe that what your take home is not good enough, you can seek for employment somewhere. And finally, the day we start to see our profession as a calling, that is when we are going to get it right in this country. But when it starts to see it as a means of income, there are certain things that is a passion, is a calling, like doctor, like academics. But when we are looking at the monetary aspect of it all the time, we are going to put the interest of our.
You receive payment at the same time from 3 different universities.
Why do I have to work in university ABC? When actually the only university I'm working, the reason why I have to run around, leave university A for university B to do some other PP is just because at the end of the day my 200,000 I have will be occupied. That's just the thing. If I've been paid well in my university A, do I have to think of, it has to do with my health. When I travel from here, just a minute man, when I travel from here and go to Ibadan to teach again, teaching is an equivalent assignment because I have to read and be able to deliver well to my students. So that is a member.
I know what Mr. Yola is saying is, even in some other industries, for instance in broadcasting, I can't go and appear on channels, because the salary here too cannot, totally take me home, so maybe what he is actually saying is that he
has given a suggestion that maybe if you think that pay is not sufficient, we should resign. I think he said that.
Are people resigning? Are you guys resigning?
This is our country. We all are Nigerians. Sorry to say this, we can't allow this country to go under. All of us are involved. So everybody should resign, and else should also resign. Who now teaches? Because to become a professor is not with first degree that you become a professor.
I think we need to put some of these things in proper perspective.
Yes, sir.
Nobody is saying that you don't deserve your pay or that there are no issues with federal government. We're not saying government is very responsible.
Okay.
Please listen to us.
Okay.
We are only saying that, given all the strategies that we employed over time, the medication you are giving us to solve this problem has a side effect that is now greater than even the ailment. Shouldn't we have a new way forward? And that's why I suggest
this suggestion.
Can we bring in NANS? Look, listen, we are fighting because of you guys. Because, like I said, no lecturer.
Not only because of the students. Not only because of the students.
He's saying that.
You are also talking about condition of service.
He's saying that NAN is disunited.
For now.
He's saying NAN is disunited. And that probably what attracts
I'm sure you know how to ask some other factions. Has to trust factions.
Oh my God.
Well, that's another matter.
The reason why this one has been brought in is because of the idea you have brought up that maybe students should be involved.
But does ASUU have factions? We need to ask Prof too. ASUU, is ASUU factionalized?
No, we only have one ASUU. That's why
we have just one NANS too.
We have one ASUU.
But we have just one NANS.
Are you a member of NANS?
You know why you are scared of being NANS? Why should not always agree to their strike? Because there is one that has given it. So let's begin NANS to have stakeholders. We parents are stakeholders. You can't hold us to ransom.
Are you a member of NANS?
Anyway, I'm a PTA.
So we will not be able to speak.
Bring us.
But you see,
I'm sure we'll always send down strike.
We have just 3 minutes to go. Moji, quickly your question before we close.
What is there hope now that the federal government has said another committee should be inaugurated to look into it? It seems ASUU doesn't want that.
Because that's just the position of ASUU. Why this another?
But bear in mind the state of the global economy. Can you shift ground?
Nobody should continue to deceive us here in Nigeria. We are not a poor country, for crying out loud. We know how, it's just that we are not being well managed. Our resources are not being well taken care of. That's the bitter truth.
A signing out question for me.
Yes.
Okay, with all this solution, what happened to our children? That's my question. What happened to our children? They just
and amenities are provided for us to teach you well, so that really when you graduate and you get out of this country,
just produced you. And it became
it wasn't as bad as it is now.
Anyway, well, the Prof has done his bit to defend ASUU on this program. Associate Professor Kazim Rufai, Chairman TASO at ASUU, thank you so much for coming. We thank you for your vibrancy and for your positions on the program. Ustaz has not only on this program been a guest, he's also been an interviewer.
He has 2 children in our institutions.
2 children in our institution.
It's 7 years.
It's not easy.
You should talk to government.
He's my friend. We are brothers. We know each other.
You should talk to government.
I must thank you so much, Ustaz.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You have to go, Moji.
Yes, thank you to all our viewers, especially those that phoned in. We really appreciate you.
All right, that's the program this morning, New Dawn on the People's Tele OGTV, 25HF. We've been looking at perennial AFG ASUU face-off, and we've not really reached a definite conclusion on this program because of the 2 guests. They are hotheads and they have actually argued their positions differently. But again, this is a developing story, and we hope that we'll continue to talk about it on this channel. Trust us, when issues again arise as far as this matter is concerned, we'll bring in another guest to discuss it. Thank you so much for watching the program today. Have a great Monday.